So if somebody asks you, what kind of life do you have in one word or less? What would you say? You might say, my life is fantastic. My life is amazing. My life is crazy. My life is bad. My life is pitiful. My life is painful. At any given time in our life, any of those could be our answers if we define our life by the season that we're in. But there is the possibility of building a life that is more beyond our imagination than we can think or ask. It's called an epic life. It's a life that is experiential, that experiences life over and over in massively great ways. And it is always exploring in order to experience. It's a life that is participatory and has partnerships. It's not lived as an island or alone. I'll never forget my senior year of high school. We had a class song, and that class song we all sang at our graduation ceremony as this one mass hundreds of voices choir. And that song was, "No man is an island." No human is meant to live alone. Nobody is meant to live in isolation. Nobody is meant to live just to their own devices or within their own devices. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to be partnership. It's a participatory partnership life that we have been called into. It's also imaginative. It is a life filled with imagination. It is a life to be filled with dreams and aspirations and reaching beyond ourselves. That is a life that we can look back on and say, you know what? I lived my life well. We don't live our life well just by sitting in front of a television all the time. We don't live our life well by not reaching beyond our boundaries. We don't live our life well just staying within ourselves. No, we're meant to live beyond ourselves. That's the spiritual part of us. That's the part of us that is most like our Creator God. Not only is it experiential and participatory and imaginative, but it's also then creative. Because once you begin to experience things and you begin to partner with other people, and then you realize that you can think beyond yourself, you begin to do things to create the life that you can experience. It's what we're all been invited into, and what I'm here to coach you in and to coax you in towards your future. You know, we've come to the end of a very, very difficult, demanding year. A year that has been sometimes demoralizing, a year that has sometimes felt like it was a defeat, a year that has sometimes felt like it was absolutely destructive in our lives and in our families. But as we look toward a new year, I want you to look with hope. Things aren't going to turn around at midnight between December 31st and January 1st. But you can begin to turn things around right now at the beginning of December. You can begin to look forward with faith to your future. As we've been discussing over the last several weeks, to build an epic life begins with the element of desire. What is it that's in your heart? What is it that you would do if you knew that you couldn't fail, that was meant to make a difference, not only for yourself, but for other people? What is that desire in your heart? Write that desire down. Make sure that you get it firmly implanted in your mind, that it's not just a drifting feeling through your heart, but it's something that becomes an entity. It's something that you begin to feel entitled to. It's something that you begin to say, this is my desire, and it's going to go beyond my desire and create my design. I'm going to begin to pursue this life. And it begins with desire, but then it begins to form from that entity idea, ethereal knowledge. It begins to form by faith on the inside of us. We've talked about having faith in God, trusting our life to Him in that human divine partnership that He offers to us in what the Bible calls salvation and the emancipation of our souls and our spirits. But it goes beyond that to where we are entitled and called by God to be like Him and to not only have faith in God, but have the faith of God, where we begin to speak things from the non-existent place into the existent place, where we begin to form our future with our words, where we begin to say, This is my lot, and I'm going after it. I'm going to pursue this. And we begin to see those things that are not seen. And we begin to feel the substance of those things that we have only heretofore hoped for. So it goes from the desire place, where we write it down, we focus on our desires, we articulate our desires, we get clarity on our desires. It goes to faith, where we begin to form our desires in the realm of the Spirit that God gives us. And then it goes beyond that into a place where we begin to repeat it to ourselves, and we morning, noon, and night say, this is who I am, this is what I'm here for, this is what I'm pursuing, and say it over and over and over, and begin to say what the outcomes are going to be. This group of people, or this person, or that people of experience, they're going to get something from me that's going to make a difference in their lives. And we repeat that, we articulate it, we begin to form our words and our thoughts around those things, and we speak things by the power of the Spirit of our Creator on the inside of us, from what is not to what is. It's from the very core of my being. Like Eleazar, the ununderstanding friend of Job, says, decree a thing, Job. Let it be established. He didn't even know what he was saying, because he was trying to correct Job. But the heart of God is in that. The idea of God, the formation, the creative power of God is in that. We reinforce it with repetition in our souls. We say what we see. And Scripture is replete with these kind of teachings and these interactions and these invitations to us to be like God. And then we come into this place where once we know what we articulate what our desire is, that we begin to see it and we begin to form it in the thoughts and in the intentions of our heart. And then we begin to repeat it to ourselves, to reinforce it in ourselves. Then we begin to put ourselves on a path of realization, and we begin to learn what we don't know, and we begin to pursue what we need to know, and we begin to grow our lives in the area that our desire is formed in. As we begin to do that, we begin to go back and we say, okay, I'm going to write my desire. I'm going to pray the vision of my desire. I'm going to record the outcomes of my desire when it comes to pass. This is what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to find my path and educate myself. This is what it means to build the epic life. And there's more elements that I look forward to bringing to you between now and the end of the year. So stay with me, because I'm Phil Underwood, and you and I together are going to build an epic life.